Hello everyone, my name is Guang. My name is Tommy. I'm 10 years old. Today I'll talk about history in lesson 31 in 4th grade. And first, I will review about the topography. And this is the Gulf. This is the sea. This is the bay. The canals, a body of is a man-made body of water that connects to large body of water. And this direction is upstream, and downstream is this direction. The waterfall is where water falls from a cliff. The mouth is where it's empty into the sea. And the delta is where fertile soil is collected and pushed on the bay. And this is the lake. The lake is a body of water that is usually the end or the source of the river or stream. And the horizon is where is the line over here. And there are some territories, and this is the United States at that time. And this is the Northwest Territory. The Louisiana Purchase will double the size of the United States as it is explored. The Oregon country is a part of land that is unknown, is unsettled and unknown to any other country in the world. And the Mexican section is the land that now form the state of Arizona, New Mexico, and California, and Utah. And this is the Texas annexation, which contains Texas and part of Arizona, and Oklahoma. And this is the Gaston Purchase. It is purchased to build a railroad that crossed the United States. And this is the Alaska Purchase, and it is not purchased and connected to the continental United States. And this is the Hawaii annexation. Today I will talk about the War of 1812. And James Madison was the president at the time of the War of 1812. And from 1812 through 1815 is the War of 1812. And the Battle of Lake Erie is the battle where a young captain named Oliver Hazard Perry led the American Navy to victory as they captured 6 British ships. And the Battle of Fort McKinley was the battle that ended the War of 1812. And in that battle, a man named Francis Scott Key wrote our country's national anthem. Andrew Jackson was a man who fought in the War of 1812 in the Battle of New Orleans, and was nicknamed Old Hickory because he was tough as a hickory tree. And then later he also served in politics as the president. And the Battle of New Orleans was the battle where Andrew Jackson fought. And today I will talk about the War of 1812. And as French gave the Louisiana purchased to America. It gains money, and its leader gains money for the war he was fighting. And French was known as the most powerful country at that time in Europe. And France made war on England, and but they also attacked on American ships that sailed in the British waters and the French waters. The British wanted to stop American ships from getting supplies to French, and French wanted to stop American ships to sell and give supplies to the British. And British captured many American sailors and made them serve as the British Navy. And America saw that British was the main country that is causing the trouble. So they declared war on England. And England army was strong, and the American army was not experienced and was new. And so, but they still fought bravely. On the Battle of Lake Erie, Captain Oliver Hazard Perry was the leader of the American Navy that captured 6 British ships and of the English Navy on Lake Erie. And after he captured these ships, he wrote a letter to the commander that is above him, that have sent him to lead the ships. And he wrote that we have met the enemy and they are ours. And then on a very famous battle of the War of 1812, the Battle of Fort McKinley, Francis Scott Key was a lawyer who wanted to help his friend on board a British ship. As a result, he got stuck there too. And if he went to America and sent the news that the British was attacking, then the American colonists would be prepared, and the British did not want that, so they kept him on the ship. And he saw bombs and rockets that are flying in the air, and but he still sees the flag. And in the morning dawn, he was looking toward the fort to spot the American flag. And there he saw the American battle-torn flag with holes that the rockets and bombs made. And then another battle where Andrew Jackson was the commander to lead the American army to victory, as he was very tough, and he was tough, so they gave him a nickname of Old Hickory. And the hickory tree reminds them of Andrew Jackson because the hickory tree was strong and tough, and Andrew Jackson was like the hickory tree. And he fought in the Battle of New Orleans. Now we'll read the Battle of 1812. During the time of the American exploration and expansion, France and England were at war. When the French Emperor Napoleon sold the Louisiana Territory to the United States. He used the money to carry out on his wars with other countries, including England. Napoleon became more powerful in Europe. Although far from Europe, the United States became involved in the war between France and England. The powerful French and British navies were fighting against each other, but they were also attacking American ships. France tried to stop American ships sailing with goods to England, while England tried to stop American ships sailing to France. The conflict became worse. English ships began capturing American sailors. Soon, hundreds of American sailors had been kidnapped and forced to serve in the British Navy. Since England was causing most of the problems, James Madison, America's fourth president, asked Congress to declare war on England. The Battle of 1812 would involve several major battles. The British army was strong, and America's new army was not as experienced as England's. However, America showed her own strength when British and American ships fought the Battle of Lake Erie in 1813. During this battle, the young Captain Oliver Hazard Perry led the United States Navy to victory as he gained control of 6 British ships. He wrote to his commanding officer, "We have met our enemy and they are ours." After 2 years of fighting, the British attacked the nation's capital. In 1814, British soldiers marched into Washington, D.C. and burned the president's mansion. Dolly Madison, the president's wife, is known for saving the painting of George Washington as she escaped to safety. Almost every federal government building in Washington, D.C. was destroyed. The Capitol building, which included the Library of Congress, the Supreme Court Treasury building, and the State Department went up in flames. Concerned government workers gathered important papers, including the Declaration of Independence and Constitution, and took them to safe hiding places outside the city of Washington, D.C. until it was safe to return them. Many of these priceless documents was hidden in a cellar of an abandoned house in Virginia. The burning of Washington fed American Army fierce determination to fight. Thousands of Americans volunteered for military service. Next, British planned to capture Baltimore, Virginia in September 1814. And I will read some about James Madison. He was born on March 16, 1751, and he died on June 28, 1836. And he was the fourth president and was in office from 1809 to 1807. And he was the father of the Constitution president during the War of 1812 and served 2 terms. And there are some important names. James Madison, first U.S. President. Oliver Hazard Perry, young captain who defeated the British at the Battle of Lake Erie. Andrew Jackson, general during the War of 1812. Francis Scott Key, writer of the Star-Spangled Banner, national anthem of the United States. Important days: 1812 through 1815, War of 1812. Important terms: the War of 1812, war between the United States and Britain over shipping rights. Battle of Lake Erie, battle which the U.S. Navy gained control of 6 British ships. Battle of Fort McKinley, battle in which American forces defeated the British over control of Baltimore, Maryland. Battle of New Orleans, the last battle of the War for 1812, greatest American victory of the war. During the Battle of Fort McHenry in Baltimore Harbor, an American lawyer named Francis Scott Key was found on board an English ship where he was trying to arrange the release of an American prisoner. During the night, as bombs burst and gave a red glare of light, he could see the American flag over the fort. When morning came, the flag was clearly still raised, and American ships had been victorious. The British had failed to capture Baltimore. The sight of the battle-torn American flag inspired Francis Scott Key to write a poem that would become the national anthem of the United States, the Star-Spangled Banner. When Britain decided to attack the new state of Louisiana in 1815, over 4,000 Americans volunteered to fight. Under the leadership of General Andrew Jackson, the Americans held back the British at the Battle of New Orleans, the greatest American victory in the last battle of the War of 1812. Throughout Jackson's military, his toughness and determination reminded his soldiers of a strong hickory tree, giving him the nickname of Old Hickory, Old Ironsides. Another battle at sea during the War of 1812. The USS Constitution, one of the United States Navy's first battleships, earned a special nickname. A British sailor noticed that the cannonballs attacking the Constitution seemed to bounce off its wooden hull instead of causing damage. Since that battle, the USS Constitution had been called Old Ironsides. The restored ship is anchored in Boston Harbor and still sails several times a year. The results of War of 1812. American and British leaders had already signed a treaty before the New Orleans conflict. However, the news did not reach the soldiers until after the battle was over. After these 3 long years, the Battle of 1812 ended in 1815. Either side won, but the Americans' victory in naval battles proved England that she could defend herself on seas. The United States was strong enough to protect her lands and citizens from foreign attack. The new nation gained the respect of other countries who had watched to see that the outcome of the war would be. Because the British blockade forced America to produce its own goods, industries grew and prospered due to America's show of strength. Western expansion became more possible after the war. Montpelier, James Madison's home. Montpelier, located in Virginia, was the home of James Madison from his early childhood until his death. From the original home on the estate was very small. Madison's father began building the larger home in 1760s. It was a brick home with a central hall and several rooms on each side. Madison was away from his home much of the time during the founding of the United States and the War for Independence. After James Madison married Dolly Paniel Todd in 1797, they moved back to Montpelier and lived in the house with his parents. By 1801, his father died. Madison had built a 2-story addition to the Montpelier that included a large front porch with white columns. When James Madison became Secretary of State in 1801, the family moved to Washington, D.C. He became the President of the United States in 1809 and served until 1817, when he and his wife were finally able to return to their home. During this time in Washington, Madison had more rooms added to the Montpelier until there were 22 rooms, making the home a fine mansion. At the death of James Madison in 1836, his wife Dolly inherited the house but was forced to sell it because of debt. The new owners doubled the size of the Montpelier. They had many changes made to the original home that modernized it and made it more functional during the 90s. In 1983, Montpelier was given to the National Trust for historical preservation, who restored it as much as possible to the Madison area home. Montpelier was now a historical museum that offers tours of the home, gardens, outbuildings, and archaeological sites, including a Civil War trail. English attacked the America ships, and that caused America to enter the war.
What is this?
And it is the comprehension check. And the United States President asked United States President asked Congress to declare war on England in 1812. It is President James Madison. Andrew Jackson was nicknamed Old Hickory. America proved during the War of 1812 that she could protect herself on seas and on land and her citizens. And the results of the War of 1812 is that America earned the respect of the countries that has been watching America on war. And the French leader at war with England is Napoleon. Dolly Madison saved a painting of George Washington. Oliver Hazard Perry led the American Navy to victory in the Battle of Lake Erie. Francis Scott Key Fort McHenry was the location of the battle where the Star-Spangled Banner was written. Francis Scott Key wrote the Star-Spangled Banner. Andrew Jackson led the American Army to victory at the Battle of New Orleans. And that is all I want to talk in this history lesson. Thank you for your listening and watching. Goodbye.